Hello, and thank you for stopping by on the Therapist Poetry Podcast, where we meet real people from real life and they share their real experiences with us, their real stories. We're actually about to go and meet a therapist now, so follow me and let's go meet them. Oh, I nearly forgot. If you are moved by their story, then don't forget to let them know and leave them a comment. Don't be stingy and keep all that positivity to yourself. Hello, everybody. Today we've got, for the first time, two guests, which is Kathy, who is a therapeutic social worker, and Geraldine, who is a counsellor. And they've come together to create Transcend Trauma. And today we're here to talk about Kathy's experience of CPTSD. So, welcome both of you, and thank you for coming. And yeah, a bit of an open ended question here for you to say a little bit about your experience.
Okay. Okay, I'm Geraldine and I was Kathy's counsellor. Um, and we met, but we'll come on to that later. We met initially through a counselling organisation. And then we resumed work later privately. I'm saying I'm a lot again. Oh dear.
Yeah, so in terms of the diagnosis, I was diagnosed with CPTSD probably about 5 years ago, having gone through lots of other diagnoses of depression, anxiety, those sorts of things. But probably symptoms wise, I've known since sort of about 11 or 12 that there's been some mental health difficulty there.
And I mean, the first question I was going to ask you is, what is the relationship between you both? And it's really interesting that you met through agency work and that moved on to private practice. So could you tell us a little bit more about that relationship and where that's headed to now?
Yeah, so Geraldine was my counsellor under an organisation back where we used to live, but it was short-term work, so it was 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So which wasn't anything like long enough. The work had only just started when it ended. And then I was passed on to various other people, had some positive and some negative, primarily negative experiences with other people. So went looking for a private therapist and hoped that the one person who'd understood me would still be out there. And luckily, Geraldine was offering private practice sessions. And yeah, we found each other, completed the work. And because of everything we learned through that, we decided that there was some change that needed to happen a bit more universally. So we created Transcend Trauma together.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's an incredible journey you've spent.
Yeah, yeah. I was how many years out of the blocks then? I was 10 years out of the blocks. Because that was 2018. And Kathy, yeah, there was a certain amount there. I had definitely worked with post-traumatic stress before. Yeah. But in terms of complexity, I was keenly aware of that. I felt quite powerless and I felt quite frustrated in terms of not being granted any extension for working with Kathy. And it made me realise the importance of when you're offering a service, the importance of, if you don't fit into that box, that category, you need to treat that person with so much respect, so much care. And I was angry at the way in which Kathy had been treated. And what were my parting words to you when we had to stop?
We'll finish this conversation later.
And I think I realised that, well, I knew we weren't done. And I hoped we would be able to work again in future. And so when Kathy found me again, how many years later? 4 years later.
4.
Wow.
I was moving that week. And that call came. And it was like, oh, right, okay, but I'm moving 200 miles away. And the fact that Zoom had obviously come into our lives through COVID, we had another way of working. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
But now we're sat in the same room together, so we'll get there.
Is that part of later's story?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I just wanted to touch on the 12 sessions, because it is 12 sessions in a lot of settings, isn't it? And it's often not enough. And I can hear that relationship was just starting to get going between you both as well. And it's often the case when clients don't come in and within one session there's that instant trust and click. So it's a really, really important message to say for you guys and for all organizations out there. It's often like that in Mind and many of the big organizations, and it's not enough sessions. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Sorry, Ricky, it's in the 18 years I've been working as a counsellor. You know, some clients come in and one session, well, there's everything. And they might not come back again because they feel like they've done it. Frequently, I would find it takes 6 sessions to build a relationship.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with complex stuff, you'd be lucky, I would say, if you get to even scratching the surface by session 11.
Yeah.
So you do as much as you can, and you almost put the plaster back on until you can resume, if there's a point when you can resume.
Yeah.
You do as much as you can. But in some instances, of course, you know, that opening up, you got to be damn careful that you're not leaving that person in a worse state.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky path. I think short-term work definitely has a place, absolutely has a place. And the NHS, of course, can only fund mostly now 6 sessions other than 12. But if you have the luxury of being able to work privately, being able to be seen by a private counsellor, then that, opens things up immediately. Particularly as well, if if there's a point, and we'll get to that as well, where 1.5 hour long sessions are what you actually need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hear you there. And before I move on to the next question, I just wanted to say as well, as you said, you know, some clients come in and everything comes out, and it's not, especially when working with trauma, it's not helpful. If someone's not in their window of tolerance, which they're probably not, if they've just met you on that first day, and it's unhelpful. And as you were saying, it can almost be re-traumatizing to go over things when you're not in that place of safety and calm. So yeah, I really hear that. The next question is for you, Kathy, and it's, how has counselling helped you to understand your experience of CPTSD?
I'd say that it's reorganized my thoughts. It's helped me ascribe blame in the right places. We've done a lot of work on shame. I'm not saying I'm the finished article when it comes to shame yet, but I'm definitely much more aware of it. But I think it's really helped me make sense of what's gone on, and work out what's mine and what's not to carry now. Yeah, I think before it was just a big jumbled mess that I thought was all my fault, whereas now it's much more organized in my brain, and there are some things that I'm choosing not to carry with me anymore because they weren't mine.
It's a really interesting point. I can hear there as well that there's certain emotions that you've carried around that perhaps to other people, and just by working out whose emotions are whose, that's been really helpful for you.
Yeah, I think when things happen when you're really young, it can get really complicated to understand what is yours, what's been given to you, what's been what have you taken on because nobody else would. And this, counselling has really helped me undo all of that and work out, actually, that belongs to somebody else, that belongs to the person who did it. Just because they chose not to pick up the responsibility, it doesn't mean it's mine to carry. So really just undoing all of those knots and things that you kind of carry around with you, so that things now are still there, but they don't have the same emotional baggage attached to them.
You brought them all out into the conscious.
Well, Geraldine's a big fan of the phrase "shine the light." So we always say that she comes in with a massive torch, and massive torch, and shines the light in all the little dark places, which I used to resist a lot at the beginning, because there were things that had been buried and hidden for years.
The dark, scary.
Yeah, and I didn't always want to know what was in the corners. Whereas then, over time, I've got a lot better at, okay, let's bring it out and have a look and see what there is, and we'll go through it together and unpack it and then repack it back and see what we're keeping and what we're chucking. So yeah, my head isn't a place that's dark anymore. It's looked at, it's got bright lights in it now.
Yeah. And the next question is for Geraldine, and is there any counselling theory excuse me, is there any counselling theory or models that helped you to understand and work with CPTSD?
Two people in particular. I was lucky enough to be trained within trauma by Christiana Sanderson, who wrote two very influential books to me. I mean, she's written a hell of a lot more than two books, but The Warrior Within and The Spirit Within, the two books that are almost designed to be workbooks for clients. And knowing Chrissy and being trained by Chrissy definitely formed the basis of my knowledge in terms of CPTSD. And then Carolyn Spring has kind of taken the mantle on one step further, because something else that we're going to talk about today is dissociation, dissociative identity disorder. And Carolyn has, I think, safe to say, has revolutionized the way in which I work and helped me see things differently and through the eyes of my client. And those are the two women who have had the most influence over my practice, over understanding the theories in terms of shame, in terms of how trauma affects the brain, impacts the brain and the body. And I would undoubtedly say that those two, and recovery is my best revenge, and on shame being the two key texts for Carolyn for me. Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. You mentioned things like dissociation and D.I.D. there, and often with those kind of things, shame can grow. So just being able to have the knowledge of that and almost normalize the way that humans' brains work and how we protect ourselves is huge within your work.
What I love about, and what I 100% took from Carolyn is dissociation. Why the hell wouldn't you? If you've experienced trauma, particularly in childhood, why wouldn't you dissociate? It's a coping strategy. It just always made total sense to me why that would happen. And I guess from that point of view, I don't freely use the word normal, but it seems such a normal response, a reaction. And whether that's been part of it for me, that I've, no biggie kind of thing. Yeah.
I get what you're saying with that, of course. If we're really overwhelmed, why wouldn't there be something in place within us that can shut that down? Because ultimately we can't control our external whatever's going on externally. But our body does have a way of kind of shutting down that overwhelm. And I know that you wanted to go into that a little bit in some of the later questions, I think. So the next question is for Kathy again, and it is: name one thing that had a negative impact on your experience of counselling for CPTSD.
I'd say the wrong people. So we referred to kind of the organisation, that when I went back to the organisation, they put me with someone different. They wouldn't, so that wasn't very helpful. And then I did see somebody else for a while, but they were really inconsistent. And when I say really inconsistent, I mean they missed over 40 sessions.
Wow.
Yeah. So in terms of the message that sends about your value and your worth and kind of all of those things, that was pretty huge, because then to try and access counselling after that was a big deal, because I'd kind of very much got the message that I wasn't worthy of getting help. So it was last chance to leave, when it was like, I'm going to give this one more shot and then that's it, I'm done. So actually it is about the messages that people send you, even if they aren't meaning to.
And I feel really sad to hear that, because ultimately the people that are there to help made you feel like you weren't worth it at the time as well. So that's
and I'm a realist. Sometimes sessions have to be cancelled. I completely understand that. Life happens, things happen, emergencies happen, but I think there comes a point where you can't help but take that personally, doesn't it? When you realize you haven't had a session in 9 months, something's gone really wrong, hasn't it? So so it took a long time to undo the damage that did, and to kind of then dare to trust the process again.
That's I mean, 40, my curiosity is sparking, but I won't let it. The next question is for you, Geraldine, and that is: was there any time of challenge in the work for you?
I've I have frequently felt that I've flown by the seat of my pants. Frequently. And then imposter syndrome always knocks at the door. And the irony is kind of on both sides. Am I good enough? Because Kathy's generally, there's almost that language of, am I a good enough client? Mm-hmm. And then on my side, am I a good enough counsellor? And can I deal with this? Can I do this? And I can hear the words in her head, see, I'm too much. I'm too much. And I would always say to counsellors, don't be afraid. Follow your gut and always remember the fact that you are a human being first. Another one of my expressions. You're a human being first. You're a counsellor second. And for me, the counselling relationship, if you get that, it's not manufacturing. It's that connection with someone. Once you've got that, you're okay. You'll be fine. So when we encountered things that I had never experienced before, in terms of with the D.I.D and abuser alters, so abusive parts, that was definitely the most challenging part for me, where flying by the seat of your pants is maybe not enough and you need to put in some work, put in research, put in hours. But how within that, as Kathy will herself say, she said it to me, I've always been honest. I've never pretended to be someone I'm not. All I have is my integrity. All I have is my consistency. And knowing that that is something that Kathy had experienced badly, I knew that I needed to be the opposite of that. And given that, I would like to say that I do that with every single person I work with, so I just needed to make sure. So we've had some tough times. We've had some big things to deal with. But I think we've always been honest about it. And there's another top tip for your counselling listeners, viewers. Don't lie. Never lie. Always be honest. Because that way your client knows where they stand. Don't second guess you.
Yeah.
Because they know. They know. And you'll work through it together.
I mean, I can really hear in that the relationship and how important the relationship is. And there's that part of using yourself within that and being honest about that. So using immediacy, using yourself, and I could almost hear both of you connecting on that. Am I good enough? And I can see how in a relationship, potentially without the honesty in that, without the honesty of that vulnerability, how perhaps it might be seen as a different emotion by the other in the relationship. And the honesty of drawing that together, the honesty of saying, I am vulnerable and I am vulnerable, shows that you can be vulnerable together, rather than someone worrying that means something else. And I can really hear how you connected with that honesty and how it brought you together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on there, definitely. And I think,
oh,
sorry.
Nope, sorry.
You carry on. No, I was just going to say that when you're trying to rebuild something as well, you know, when you're aware that sadly some counsellors haven't maybe done the best job that they could, that no pressure, but you know, it makes you, it made me want to say, no, we're not all like that. Come on, you know. And because we had something already to build upon, that obviously made that a bit easier for me. Yeah.
The next question is actually for both of you. We'll start with Kathy, and it is name one thing that had a positive impact on your experience of counselling.
Which just answers it.
Yeah, and that would be exactly what we've just been talking about. It was the fact that I always knew that Geraldine was being totally honest with me.
Yeah.
Even when it was tough, even when she perhaps didn't like what she was having to say, or when it wasn't always easy to hear sometimes, I knew that she was being honest with me, and that was the thing that's made it work. And like you said, that's the bit that's made the relationship work, that's the bit that's made the therapy work, is the fact that actually everything she says I can trust. There's no faking it till she makes it kind of stuff. There's no jazz hands routine. She's just authentic, and that matters, really matters to me. So yeah, because I will spot someone faking it a mile off. So,
and it feels like that relationship was real.
Yeah,
it was authentic within the two of you, within everything.
Yeah, and you can trust in that because you know someone's being genuine with you. Whereas if you feel like someone's only showing you kind of what they think you need to see, then actually how's that an authentic connection, because they're only showing you like a fake version of themselves. So then you can't trust the relationship either. Whereas when you know that you're seeing them for who they are and they're being real with you and they're telling you warts and all, then you know that the connection you've got is genuine. Yeah.
And it's the same question for you, Geraldine.
I will always take it back to the core conditions. And in terms of, congruency, for me, I think because you're going to like this. We used to have a really bad relationship with the word boundaries.
Okay.
And whenever I used to mention boundaries when we were working together, Kathy would immediately kind of go, oh my God, I've done something wrong. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah. I'd panic.
She'd always see boundaries as a really, like beating her over the head with a stick. It was a bad thing. And I think we know as counsellors that boundaries are a very positive thing on both sides. And I am aware that, we've gone counsellor, client, business partners. I'm aware that the relationship is not your textbook relationship here. But in terms of positivity, understanding the being real, the being congruent, and then working through things like boundaries, and have it that the relationship with the word boundaries changed.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
That Kathy understood, I think, I don't want to say this, you're sat there, I don't know if you do. Kathy understood that boundaries were healthy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you know, within that congruent relationship of being real with someone, and, you know, let's hit all of them, shall we? And, you know, that unconditional positive regard, how that builds trust, and how within that trust, hopefully in time, when someone who's had almost fear as a word boundary, that begins to change if they then trust you. And I will never, ever take for granted any client who struggles to trust a complete stranger, because it's the complete stranger bit that I know makes counselling work. But how can you expect someone to walk into a room and go, okay, right, I'm going to trust you, fine, here's my life story?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've got, as the counsellor, you've got to put the work in so that client begins to trust, hopefully will trust, because I appreciate how restorative that relationship, that trust can be. I've no idea if I've answered your question, Ricky, but there you go. There's my answer.
I mean, again, I can really hear that some of the same things are important for you both. There's a lot of similarities in your answer there, and it feels like there's a lot of trust between the pair of you, that you really know each other. That's what was coming across for me. And just going on to the final question now, which is for both of you. What advice would each of you give others experiencing CPTSD? Kathy, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I would say stick with it. It's a really long road to walk, and it can often feel like you're going backwards rather than forwards. So I would say, however hard it is, celebrate the small wins, recognise when you are making progress, recognise the things that you're doing that you didn't used to be able to do. Build yourself a support team, have people around you that get you, that you can be yourself with. And find someone that you can work with and hang in there. It's worth it in the end. It does get better.
It's really important who you spend your time with, and that's not just professionally, that's socially as well.
Absolutely, because if you have to spend your whole life pretending to be something you're not, that's mentally and physically exhausting. Whereas if you've got, even if it's a small number of friends or people in your life that you can just be you with, then that takes a huge pressure off you.
And the same question for you, Geraldine.
I would say don't be afraid. I mean, as I said earlier on, I flew by the seat of my pants, you know, for some time, for a long time. And I think when you hear terminology like CPTSD, PTSD, dissociation, I question how any counsellor can go, oh no, I don't work with that. Because at the end of the day, you've always got a human being sat in front of you who's trying to get through something. I originally, when I was training, I remember saying to myself, well, as long as I don't have to work with people who've been raped or alcoholics, it'll be fine. I always think back to that, because what the hell did I know? I don't work with issues. I work with people. And at the end of the day, that client is always someone wanting to get through something. And it is your job to be there for them, to show up, to be consistent, as we've said. And I think sometimes you get lost in the labels, you get lost in the diagnoses, and that almost overrides the important bit, which is two human beings sat in a room. One of them's trying to help the other one, trying to get through, trying to change something, trying to understand something. So my best advice would be, don't be afraid. You can do it. Believe.
I guess a really interesting point, isn't it? Because in counselling training, I felt you're kind of scared into referrals and working with only what you've been trained in. Although I'm on as I was telling you before, doing a level 5 in somatics, and D.I.D did come into it, and there were clients on within that were talking about being told that a counsellor couldn't work with them, and that for them was another rejection, another
Precisely.
yeah, it's another sorry, you're too much. And I know you used those words earlier, too much. And it's interesting because all of the research goes into the most important thing being the relationship. So it is interesting that comes into counselling so much. And I can really hear how much you've stuck with that and how much you've kind of learned off of each other. And
100%.
It's a big part of relation for me. That's a big part of the relationship, learning off each other. It's not one person learning from the other, which is often mistaken.
I mean, that's, I don't know who said it, but your client is the expert. The client is the expert on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I am stepping into someone else's world.
Yeah.
And, never assume. That takes a few years, I think, to learn that bit. Never assume. Ask the questions. And I think we've kind of we've touched on D.I.D.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, that almost normalization of it for me, how it made sense. It makes sense. The fact that I have been told in the past that I can't work with D.I.D. within a short-term framework, which is true. It's true. Or rather, you can work a bit. The short term, when there's potentially a lot more work that needs to be done. Carolyn would recommend 1.5 hour long sessions rather than hour-long sessions. How that doesn't fit within some organizations' models.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just under that heading again. It's someone wanting to get through something. So whatever the label is, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, whatever the label, someone's only ever wanting to get through something.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, yes, within the framework, is it possible to offer something? And maybe an organisation sometimes can't cope, and yes, we'll refer on. But I'd say that's where the luxury of private practice comes in, because you can create your own boundaries. There's that word again. You can create your own boundaries in terms of, okay, well, yeah, how about 1.5 hour long sessions? Does that work for you? Does that work better for you? So that's where, yeah, working privately will definitely free you up and is potentially necessary as well.
I mean, something in the time there as well of what do you need and what works best for you, and offering that autonomy almost to help the client with what it is they need. And that is, it's different for different people. And ultimately, I think the biggest message that I've got from today is the relationship. And I can see between you two that has and still is the biggest part of what's worked for you guys. So thank you so much for coming on together and sharing that. And I'm sure everyone else is really excited to hear your poem now. Are you ready to share that with us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Healing Path, written by Katie, and Every Stranger Is You, written by Kate. They're written by the same person, but they're written by different parts of her. The Healing Path, Katie. I have CPTSD. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not be okay. Who knew any of those things? Certainly not me. But as I have shared the deepest and darkest experiences and seen that this human can not only connect but care, gradually the weight has lifted. I have learned to accept support, to dare to trust. There are so many risks in letting someone in. The chance of being abandoned, rejected, hurt, but the risk of staying alone forever. To have found that person willing to hold me on the healing path is the most precious gift I have ever been given. To be helped in finding the way towards a brighter, safer future. A kindness I will never be able to repay. Every stranger is you. Kate, I have CPTSD. Every stranger is you. Every shadow, every noise, all you. You are everywhere. I can run for miles and never escape you because you live in my head, in my dreams, in my nightmares. But that residence is temporary. I'm serving an eviction notice. You own my past, you live in my present, but the future, that's mine. I'm claiming it back. It was never yours to take. Through the fog, I see the therapist's face. I see someone who can bear to sit with the pain, who can share the journey, who will hold me up when I stumble. No longer am I alone on this path. That is the key. With her, there is no room for you. Together we are moving you out. Box by box, we're kicking you out, making space for me. She holds my hand as I see all that I lost so many years ago, buried under all of you. As you go, the darkness lifts. I can just see the horizon. And you know what? There's light over there. It's called the future. It's mine. I'm heading that way.
Thank you for watching. Seriously, it means the world to me and our guests that you took the time to watch. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it really does help the channel to grow. And equally, you won't miss what's coming next if you do that. The aim of this channel and what me and the guests are trying to do is we're trying to inspire, and we're also trying to give other people a sense of belonging. And at the very least, we're trying to make other people feel seen and heard. And that's our hope with this channel. If this video spoke to you anyway, then please do check out our other videos just here. We will catch you in the next episode.